Think about the last time you really fell for someone. The heart racing for no reason at all. Thinking about them the entire day, replaying one small thing they said, that ridiculous, weightless flutter in your stomach. It feels so modern, doesn't it? So tied to phones and cafes and songs on the radio. But here's the question. A person 100,000 years ago sitting on the cold floor of a cave, watching someone across the fire, did they feel this too? Was there desire before there was ever a word for desire? Was there such a thing as dating in the Ice Age? Science actually has an answer. And one of the clearest proofs is sitting so close to you, right now, that it's almost unsettling. Let's start with what falling in love actually is, on the inside. Because before it's a feeling, it's chemistry. When you fall for someone, your brain switches on a very specific cocktail. Dopamine, which turns that one person into a reward your mind starts to chase. Oxytocin, which quietly glues the two of you together every time you touch. Adrenaline, which is why your hands sweat and your heart pounds when they walk into the room. And none of this, not one drop of it, was invented by civilization. These circuits are millions of years older than the first poem, the first song, the first word for love. Which means the hardware was already there. It was already installed in the skull of someone sitting in a cave, chipping a piece of stone into a blade. So the question was never whether their bodies could feel love. They could. They had the exact same machinery you're using right now. The real question is how that feeling showed up, in a life with no words for it, no rings, no letters. And to answer that, we can't ask them. We have to read what they left behind. And what they left behind begins with something astonishing, maybe the very first piece of jewelry in human history. In caves in southern Africa and along the coast of the Middle East, in places with names like Blombos and Skhul, archaeologists kept finding the same strange thing. Tiny seashells, each one deliberately pierced with a hole, each one worn smooth on the inside, exactly where a cord would rub for years. 100,000 years old, some even older. These are beads, ornaments, and an ornament has only one purpose in the world, to be seen. Right beside them in the same earth, they found red ochre, ground into powder and used to paint the body, the original makeup. And later, around 40,000 years ago, in a cave called Fells, they found a flute, carved from the wing bone of a vulture, which means music at night around a fire. Now, an archaeologist has to be honest. Nobody ever digs up a fossilized kiss. Nobody excavates jealousy. We can't prove a single one of those necklaces was a gift to win someone's heart, or that anyone raised that flute just to impress the person across the fire. But look at what these objects say together. People who decorated themselves, painted their skin, made music in the dark, and carried rare, beautiful things across long distances to give to each other. If that isn't courtship, it's the most elaborate 100,000-year-old coincidence ever found. And there was a life and death reason this whole game had to exist at all. To understand it, look at a human baby. Because the human newborn is the most helpless creature in all of nature, a foal walks on the very first day of its life. A baby chimpanzee can cling to its mother's fur on its own within hours. A human newborn can do nothing for years. And it isn't a flaw. It's the price of that enormous brain. Our heads grew so large that we had to be born early, unfinished, long before we can survive alone. Now picture a mother by herself in the ancient world, trying to find food, stay safe from predators, and carry a baby that cannot be put down. Nearly impossible. And this is where many scientists believe the pair bond was born. Not romance for its own sake, survival. Evolution rewarded the ones who stayed. The one who brought food, who stood guard, who shared the crushing weight of keeping a fragile child alive. And so, passion that burns for a few weeks became attachment that could last for years, because a child needed two. This is a strong idea, not a closed case. Scientists still argue about it. But if it's true, it comes with an honest, painful flip side. The same bond that gives you someone to hold also invented jealousy, the broken heart, the agony of losing someone you love to somebody else. That whole package, the best of love and the worst of it, is survival technology. And every so often, archaeology finds that ancient attachment lying right there in the ground, whole.
Italy, near the town of Mantua, about 6,000 years ago.
In a single grave, archaeologists uncovered two skeletons, both young, a man and a woman. And they were not simply buried side by side. They were placed face to face, arms wrapped around one another, knees drawn up and interlocked. Two people, frozen mid-embrace, for 6,000 years. The world came to call them the Lovers of Valdaro. And here is what's honest. We don't know how they died. We don't know if they were a couple, or if the word married meant anything to them. But we know the one thing that matters most. Someone buried them like this. Someone, in their grief, looked at those two bodies and chose that they would spend eternity holding each other. That is not an accident. It's a whole community saying, across the centuries, what these two had mattered. It was real. When the photograph was released in 2007, it landed in the week of Valentine's Day and traveled around the world. Thousands of years after their hearts stopped, two strangers made millions of living people ache. But the greatest love story in all of prehistory isn't in that grave in Italy. It's moving through you, right now. When our ancestors first walked out of Africa, they did not walk into an empty world. In the cold of Europe and across the plains of Asia lived the Neanderthals, thick-boned and strong, with their own fire and their own tools. And further east lived another people entirely, the Denisovans, other kinds of human. Different branches of the same family tree, apart from us for hundreds of thousands of years. And we know, for a fact, what happened when our ancestors met them. Not from a painting or a story passed down. We know it because it's written in the one place that cannot lie, your DNA. If you have any ancestry outside Africa, 1 to 2% of your entire genome is Neanderthal. It is in you. Now, science can't tell us the feeling behind each encounter, and it would be dishonest to paint prehistory a soft shade of pink. But the DNA is certain about one thing, and it's the thing that counts. Children were born, and those children were held and fed and protected and loved, enough to survive and have children of their own. On and on, generation after generation, all the way down to the person watching this. Two different kinds of human looked across a fire, across every difference of face and body and world, and still chose each other. This is the proof that's been next to you the whole video. You are the living descendant of a love between two different species of human.
So yes, there was desire in the Ice Age. It just wore different clothes. A necklace of shells instead of a golden ring, a flute of bone instead of a shared playlist, a fire under the open stars instead of a table for two. But underneath all of it, it was the same. That weightless flutter you feel in your stomach today is the very same one that someone felt 100,000 years ago, catching a glance from across the flames. And when you reach out and hold someone's hand, you are repeating a gesture that is older than any language ever spoken on the face of the earth. So love is not some invention of the modern world. If anything, it is the other way around. Civilization, the villages, the promises, the staying, is, in large part, an invention of love. But love in the Ice Age carried a heavy promise inside of it. To care for someone, not for a season, but for an entire life. And sometimes, against all the odds, that life ran long. So next time, ask yourself this. What happened to the ancient humans who grew too old to hunt? With no medicine, no doctors, and no such thing as retirement, the answer to that one still divides archaeologists to this very day. Subscribe to Ever Wonder and keep on wondering.